Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Thanks for Nothing.
Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing. And for those of you who are tuning in first, say hello to us. Let us know where in the world your bubble is located today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's your bubble parked?
Yes, where is your bubble parked? Where's your bubble floating? Before we get into this bubblicious talk, you might notice something a little different. We have a special guest co-host today, and by we I mean me, but Denise, our usual other half of Thanks for Nothing, is out off the grid. She is in her own bubble world. It's her birthday week, so she's off floating around somewhere having fun. And I thought that it would be super fun to bring back this beautiful man. And this beautiful man not only has been a co-host with me on a prior show called Heart to Heart for about 6 months, but he is also he's also my other half, my twin, my partner in crime. He is the producer.
The original twin.
I know. You're the producer and host of the all-new Bubble Breakthrough Show, which I know we're going to talk about today. He also runs the coaching program Accelerator and Visibility. Nope, just kidding. Authority and Visibility Accelerator.
You got it.
Thank you. Welcome to Thanks for Nothing, Rich Oceguera.
Thanks for nothing. Thanks for having me, or not. I don't know.
Are you here? Who's here with us? Oh, look, Rafael's here, and he is in Madrid.
De España.
De España, yes. I remember the first time that I went to Spain, I was like, why is everybody talking strangely? And I because I only knew one kind of Spanish growing up in Miami, and then I realized, oh no, they're actually speaking real Spanish.
The original Spanish. Castellano.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Hello, look who is here with us, also joining us. Yolanda. Hello, Rich's mom.
Mom in the house.
Mom is in the house. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, so this is your first time joining us. Just to let you know know a little bit about this show. It really is a show about nothing. There are no things. We are all things all at once, right? And it's just a conversation. Really, what do you think it's a conversation about, Rich, since you've tuned in and been a part of it?
Oh, well,
I know it's a big question.
I know it's so many things and it's nothing all at once. This is about, there's so many ways to put it. What you're doing here, what you and Denise have been doing here, is teaching people, showing people how to be the creators of their reality.
There.
But there is no reality. How to be the creators of the worlds they choose to inhabit.
Yes. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, more. Okay. And
if you were not done and I cut you off.
No. It's so another angle of it is that nothing matters. Like in the grand scheme of things, the only thing that matters is the now, right? The now moment. And anything else, which is usually us thinking about the past or trying to figure out the future, like they're not here. Only right now is here, and so no other thing matters. No thing matters. So it's this space of consciousness that creates a much happier existence in this present moment. Because if you can't enjoy this moment, then how in the heck do you think you're going to enjoy any future moments? And you're probably lamenting about the past moments. So just be here now.
Be here now,
as the book says.
Yes. Thank you for summing that up, because I got to tell you, like, it's hard for me to even put it into words, because the number one reason why, or one of the main reasons why we really started the show for me personally, was to get out of my head as someone who, you know, this is what I love doing, having conversations when you run a show, or, you know, there's a lot of planning and this and that, and you can forget and be out of this moment. And so it really is just about allowing and trusting in this and being right here with you and right here with our viewers, which, by the way, welcome if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching YouTube, LinkedIn, love seeing you. Hey, Cody, great to see you.
Ooh, that was fast.
Yes. Yes. So before, I know we're talking about a lot, but I need to do this right now because today we are talking about, and you might be wondering, why? Bubbles. And, you know,
Oh, your bubble wand is cool. Mine is broken into smaller, but oh, look, you caught a bubble.
I'm always catching bubbles. It's so interesting. I want to ask the viewers who are watching right now or on the replay, who's ever watching it, when was the last time that you actually played with bubbles? And the reason why I'm asking this is because for me, I don't remember the last time. It's got to be like literally childhood. And Rich and I are currently spending a week with bubbles. We are playing around this week, something that we're involved in. And as someone who speaks, I don't know about you, but you know, talks a lot about joy and being in the moment and tapping back into our inner child. I got to tell you, this has made that so much more possible. Hey, Donna, great to see you. She's listening and watching from Illinois. Ooh, Batman bubbles.
Batman. They're grape flavored too.
Oh my God, my cats would love that because right now they're like catching it on their nose and everywhere. And they're like,
I was hoping that Gracie would be into it, but she's like, whatever.
No, the cats are following me around with this, and Piper keeps looking to see when I'm going to open it, but she acts scared of it, and then she meows at it. And today, she finally, after been doing this for the last 3 days, today she finally got close enough, and she's trying to tap them. So she's been just watching, and today she's finally tapping, and she realizes, like a laser, she can do that.
Smart
Bubbles
girl.
are just cool. So let's just jump into this conversation because I know there are probably people out there that are like, why are we talking about bubbles? Or
what are these people doing blowing bubbles?
Yeah, exactly. And so when I approached you about having and being part of this show today, this was an obvious overlap for us because we both have been playing with bubbles. And I know for you, though, that this kind of came into your stratosphere, your universe, even before this week. So
Yes.
share a little bit about bubbles recently for you.
Okay. Well, thank you. The first time I started really as an adult thinking about the bubbles was probably about 3 years ago, maybe even a little longer. I was on a trip to New York City, where I used to live for 18 years before coming to San Diego. And I was sitting in this, oh, look at that. I love that. This Chinese restaurant that was my favorite Chinese restaurant because it was closest, but not really, to the Chinese restaurant that my mom and my dad used to take me when I was a little boy in the city that we grew up in. I grew up in.
Sorry.
Oh, my bubble popped.
Oh, okay. Well, back to me.
See, bubbles pop. We'll talk about that maybe too.
Oh, burst your bubble.
But you bursted my bubble. So I was sitting in New York City in this Chinese restaurant, and in probably around the same seat, eating the exact same thing, duck wonton soup, which is what I love to get there. And there's 80,000 things on that menu, but I get the same thing every time.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching the people walking by and all a very familiar scene. And that's when I thought, you lived here for 18 years and you've been coming back for years, and you keep coming back to this exact same place, ordering the exact same thing with the exact same window facing view. And there's how many restaurants in New York City that you could be in, but you came to this one again. And I said, wow, I really live in this bubble. Like this is my New York City bubble. So even when I go back to visit, I pretty much go to all the same places, do all the same things, just picking up right where I left off in my New York City bubble. Right. And so this is when my first contemplation of that we create these bubbles of existence, and we can get stuck in them. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like going to that Chinese restaurant, but I was locked into a certain existence. Right. And so that was how all of this came up for me. And that's when I said, this will be the theme of my TED Talk. and so this was years ago, right? And congratulations, by the way, on your most recent TED Talk coming out. You've had
Thank you.
2 now?
Yes, too.
2,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you
Yeah.
haven't watched Shari's TED Talks, then you need to go to her YouTube page, Shari
Thank
Lee's
you.
YouTube, and watch her TED Talks, please.
Yes, please, and
Like them,
comment on
share
the
them.
TED Talk on YouTube.
Comment, like, share. It helps the algorithms, and it helps her. It helps elevate her status. So please do that. Thank you. All right. So
I didn't even pay him. Thank you for that.
frozen, or if you're frozen.
Oh, I
There
thought it
you
was you.
are. We were both frozen. Right. So that's where my bubble thing came up. And then recently, are we here?
I'm here with
Recently,
you.
it came back into my life when I had to change the name of my former show. And I won't go into that story now, but something happened and I found out it was wise for me to change the name of my old show format. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to call it? Cody, my partner. Hey, Cody, he's watching. We were talking about this on the beach, and this concept of bubbles kept coming up. And he's like, I really think that you should play with this idea. And I'm like, that sounds childish. That sounds immature. Bubbles are like, no, for kids, And he's like, I think you really should think about that. And I'm like, really? And we were going back and forth. And then I kid you not, all of a sudden, this group of people are walking by maybe 20, 30 feet away, closer to the shoreline than we were. And they were blowing bubbles, and this stream of bubbles came towards us. And one of them landed right here in my arm. And I was like, okay, it's bubbles. And then I just went with it, and I allowed that to be this theme. And then some other things have happened, like with working with Denise, where the reason we're blowing bubbles, for you all who are wondering why we were blowing bubbles, is because we're doing this 12-week energetic forecast process where we're completely recreating who we be in the world. And it's based on a series of 12 cards that we individually pick numbers for. And we happened to pick the same number for the first card, which was related to bubbles.
Out of 78 numbers.
Yeah, we both picked 12 as the first number, and other numbers the same, but in different orders. But that's why we're twins. So that's how the bubble thing came
up. We're so hot.
Go ahead.
And because we're so hot.
We're so hot, yes.
That's what I was saying.
Literally, it's so hot in here.
Tell me.
Yeah, so that's the origin of the bubble journey, and then now it just has so many other meanings, which I'm sure we'll
dive into.
Here. Yeah.
So I'd love to know, for those, thank you first of all for sharing that. I know that you've shared that with me before, but I wanted everybody to know how that kind of came into your world, because with your new show that is coming out, the Bubble Breakthrough Show, it's
that's the first time we've said it in, like, officially, by the way.
With Oceguera, the host and the producer of the Bubble Breakthrough Show. Make sure that you tune in, stay tuned, connect with Rich at Instagram, at, I have it here somewhere.
Breakthrough Show.
At the Bubble Breakthrough Show. Connect with Rich at the Bubble Breakthrough Show. But anyway, so he'll end up telling you a little bit about that later on. But, doing these bubbles or playing with these bubbles really has got me thinking a lot about this idea, when we talk about, when people say, because I've heard this a lot actually, and it just came to my consciousness recently. It came up that it was like, Shari, get out of your bubble. Like, you live in this bubble. Mm-hmm. And I looked up bubble and the definition of bubble, and it was talking about an unrealistic place, like not of reality. I don't remember the exact words, and not living with the rest of the people. And that got me thinking, like, why does my bubble have to be the unrealistic one? Like, why does my bubble of positivity, of self-belief, of believing in the goodness of people and the beauty, whatever my bubble consists of, why is that one the unrealistic one, and everybody else in the world, and why is it that people want to burst that and pop that, instead of saying, hey, your bubble sounds like a really great place to be. I want to be in that one. Just something that came up for me, because I've heard that so much of my life, like, to, get your head out of the clouds to do all these things. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but it feels very good there. It feels really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Well, that's an interesting. Ted, I was thinking of you when I said I'm announcing the name of the show because he's been wondering what this is going to be.
There you go.
Yay, Ted. So the thing about bubbles is, well, as far as we know, they burst at some point, right?
Right. They're
Right.
impermanent.
They're right, exactly. And one thing about this is let me just explain a little of my theory of the bubbles.
Mhm.
Is the world that you live in right now consists of many different bubbles that are mostly of your creation, right? And I'm speaking to everybody, not just you, Shari, to myself as well, right?
Here I go again with my own bubble.
You and that damn bubble. We create. I'll do the we. We create bubbles. I call them bubbles of existence, and our lives. If you think about, if you just allow yourself to play with this concept, if you look around your life, you have many bubbles of existence that you have mostly created yourself. Some of them got created by your parents and society when we were kids. Even now, society is always trying to put bubbles on us that they want us to inhabit, right? To be part of that same conversation. But mostly we're unconsciously, this is where being conscious comes in. We mostly are unconsciously creating these bubbles of existence. And then we think that that's it. That's the deck of card. That's the hand of cards we got dealt, right? And we stay stuck in these bubbles. Like I was talking about the Chinese restaurant in the same place every time, right? The bubble could be your work bubble, or your business bubble, or your relationship bubble. And we have many relationships, right? So those are all individual bubbles.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom. I'm your other son that you didn't know you had, but it's a real thing. So, hey, there's a new bubble for you, Lark. So we maintain these bubbles because we think, well, that's how it is. And we keep telling the stories of those bubbles, which kind of just keeps them in place. And it keeps the air blowing in, so to speak, right? When we blow a bubble, right? So we keep feeding the bubble. And sometimes those bubbles pop. And rather than realize that you are consciousness, you are the creator of your world, we say, oh no, relationship ends, you get fired, which I've gotten fired many times in my life. Woohoo! Business fails. That's happened for me many times in my life. Right?
I got fired for giving a free salad away to a really cute guy in the restaurant. Okay, go ahead. Just had to say that.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Of course you did. So the bubble bursts, and then we freak out, and we cling to any residue of that bubble for dear life. And then we're like kind of in this place of misery about it because we want that bubble back, even though that bubble wasn't serving. But what if, as a conscious being that you are, because you are consciousness inhabiting a body that has names and characters and labels, right? You're consciousness first, and then you live in this thing where it's not the other way around, where you're just a body that has a little consciousness sometimes. You are consciousness. And when you remember that, you can say, oh man, I'm going to create a new bubble. What's this bubble I'm creating today? Right? And I can give you an example of that. It just happened yesterday. I just recently, I know you know this, Shari, but in case the other people don't know everything about my life, I recently joined a rock climbing gym place. Cool. It's like awesome. It's like heaven for me. It's so cool. But for 7 years of living in San Diego, I would drive by. It's right next to a freeway that I have been on a gajillion times. And I would, go by in the car and I would look at it. It said on the outside facing the freeway, it says, go climb. And I would just go, oh, wow. That must be so cool. Like one day, oh no, I'm too old. I'm too fat. Well, I've lost some more weight, so I'm not fat anymore. I don't hold that bubble anymore. I burst that bubble of hating my body. That was a bubble, right? We would drive by and I would just like wistfully almost lament that I couldn't be inside that place doing the cool thing. Had no idea what it even entailed. So I didn't allow myself to go in. And then recently I was challenged, thank you, Denise, to go do something different one day, because I was having actually a quote unquote bad day. And she said, go do something different, get out of your normal routine, just go do something. And I happened to be driving by that place, the Mesa Rim. I was on my way to the mall, and I see the thing, and I actually, because I was going what I always do, I missed the turnoff to stay on the mall route, and I got onto a different freeway, which led me right to the Mesa Rim. So I was like, well, here I am. So I walked in.
Your bubble took you there.
Exactly. I walked in just to check it out, and my heart leapt. I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know exactly what was happening in there. And so what happened in that moment was even though unconsciously, I was creating this new bubble of existence around what I'm capable of doing. And then I ended up joining, and I took a class, and I started learning how to boulder. And so now I've created this bubble of I'm an athlete. And I'm training to rock climb. And that is like ridiculous, because a couple of months ago, I was sitting in a place, and you know this, I was depressed. I had anxiety. I had PTSD. I had all these things that I was identifying with. I had created this entire new bubble of sickness in my world. And that is exactly what kept showing up. So we've burst that bubble. And now I'm in this, like, I'm an athlete. How ridiculous is that? Who cares? I'm an athlete, and I rock climb. And then I was there yesterday, and I noticed that the place was literally crawling with kids everywhere. I was like, what is going on? Little 5-year-old, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. And they're on the ropes. They're climbing. They're doing stuff. I was afraid until yesterday. I was like, oh, I can't do that part yet, because that looks more dangerous. Those walls are like 40, 50 feet tall, it looks. These little kid. And that bubble that I had that said, you can't do that, that's dangerous. You'll work yourself up to that one day, because I still was in that one day bubble. Watching these kids just burst that. And I was like, okay. So I created I added to my bubble as an athlete, is that I can do that too. That little kid do that, I can do that. I'm not too old. I'm not too anything. I just need to learn. And now I'm going to take a lesson on how to do belaying, which is doing the ropes. So that's an example of the bubbles that we maintain to our disadvantage, and that how we can just in an instant create, because you chose a new bubble of existence. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just had a bit like, what I love about that is that it makes creating our reality so much more accessible, like tangible, when you think about it as a bubble, right? Like, meaning it's playful. It should be playful, that it's not difficult, right? It's that choice. I have to get this out, because this is what I want to do the entire time.
I know. Here we are. We're going to do it.
Okay. But so, because what happens is we can get stuck, right? Like you were saying, had this idea that you were not an athlete. I don't know. I'm hearing feedback. Oh no, it's gone. Like you were stuck in this place that could almost feel like, when I talked about it in like my TED Talk, like in, behind these walls, stuck in this room. And when you think about the things in your life, when you think about your reality and it being a bubble, like you can just as easily blow it, right? Change it, let it pop and burst, and then create, a brand new one. And so your new bubble, that's what I'm hearing you say, is, you're an athlete. You are, it's powerful. Let me know if those of you who are watching, if you're understanding this, and actually share with us what bubble that you are ready to burst today. Maybe that old story, maybe that thing that you're living in that tells you whatever your story is, whatever that thing is that you are ready to release, to burst. Let us know in the comments.
I just saw your mom's comment. She said, "You are my only son."
She's like, who is that in Star
Darth
Wars?
Vader.
Darth Vader.
That's how I heard it. I don't know that she sounds like that, I'm sure.
Raphael says, bubble is like a point of view or influence zone or perception sphere.
Ooh, I like the perception sphere.
Yeah.
Write that in Spanish for me, Raphael. How do you say perception sphere in Spanish? That's very cool. Yes, because remember, the reason why this can even make sense, first of all, you have to not be in your logical mind, your conditioned mind, right? All the rules and regulations that tell you how reality is supposed to be, or
Right.
what reality even is. You get to step out of that, which is such a relief, right, Shari? Which is what we're practicing too.
Yes. And by the way, blowing bubbles keeps you super present too, just on a side note, which we'll get into as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, Ted, being stuck in a limiting belief, right? So if you think of limiting beliefs as these bubbles that can be burst so easily. And my world is around mindset training and development, and limiting beliefs is a thing I talk about a lot, and we hear talked about a lot. But when you make it a bubble, that limiting belief, I'm too old, I'm too sick, I'm too depressed, but this happened to me. You don't understand how it is for me.
Yes.
Yeah, we all do, because we're all having this human experiences, right? Not to put down anyone's experience, but no one is unique. Someone else has had your experience too. In fact, a lot of people have had the same experiences, good and bad. But when you realize that those beliefs, if you think of them just as these bubbles, then
Yes.
you can just go, you know what, little thought bubble, I'm going to lovingly pop you. Oh, that was fun. There you go.
That was a good
Pop you.
segment.
And then you go into the act of creation, because nature abhors a vacuum. You've heard this phrase, right? So when we get rid of something that's been occupying our space, then we want to fill it with something that we want to occupy our space. And this is where you pull out your magic bubble wand, metaphorically, right? Or literally, which is fun. Go get bubbles, people.
Yeah,
Go to
please go
Target.
get bubbles. I'm telling you, I can't stop.
They're
Keep
so
going.
inexpensive too. Target, CVS, Walgreens, 99-cent store. Go buy yourself some bubbles and blow them.
Piper's right down here. She's just like this. And I'm like,
Uh,
by the way, the first image I got of a bubble when I blew it for the first time recently was Glinda the Good Witch. I'm like, that's no accident. Like, you know how she comes in the bubble, like in the Wizard of Oz?
oh, that's right.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's the template.
Oh, that's so interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Yes, her bubble was her transport machine.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a whole other dimension of this. Right?
Yes.
Well, here's the other thing, because you were just demonstrating it when you were blowing your bubbles a minute ago. Oh, thanks, Mom. My mom loves me. Both of our moms are here watching us be silly talking about bubbles.
How beautiful is that?
How beautiful is that? So the thing about bubbles is, it's kind of like Goldilocks, right? You can't blow too hard, otherwise it won't turn into the bubble, and you can't blow too softly because it won't create the bubble. You have to blow just right. And it's a very gentle, tranquil experience, right? And so what I've been learning with practicing the bubbles, the first time I pulled the wand out, I was like, and it just went all over me. I was like, oh, I got to like cool it. So I had to practice how to blow bubbles again. And even if you're chewing gum and blowing bubbles, you learn how to blow, right? It's just the same thing, not too hard, not too right, and just the right position in your mouth with your tongue to get the bubble, right? It's an act of gentleness, and that's what creation is like, right?
Yes.
We get to be in this space of like Glenda the Good Witch, right? La, 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 right? But how much effort does it take for us to maintain these crappy old bubbles? Yes.
Sorry, I know, and I'm seeing like all of like what you just said, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but when you say like I think of ease, that was my experience with the bubble, Rich, is that the bubbles were coming out so much more when I just flowed with it and with ease like that, as opposed to like, or, you know. I want to get to these comments really quickly, and then we're going to continue with what you were saying, because I know I asked people questions. Bill said, I'd love to burst the bubble of bad health. So let us know what your new bubble looks like. Those of you who are bursting, what would your new bubble of creation look like? And I think we'll go through a little exercise in a little bit, right?
Yeah, we'll do that.
To be able to help you, create that. Just a few more comments. Rafael says, esfera de percepción. How is that? Percepción. I think, right? In Spanish?
Well, my Spanish won't sound like his Spanish.
Right.
However, esfera de percepción. Percepción.
Yeah, I would say like esfera de percepción, but percepción.
Thank you, Rafael. Espero de
Donna, I
recepción.
know. Donna says she's in an overeating phase bubble. I like that you use phase because just like a bubble, pop.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not listen, but for those of you who are watching, this can seem and feel like, why are they talking about bubbles? This is a silly conversation, but I don't know. Like the thing that I keep getting from this is, again, the ease in which we can choose a new bubble, that we can create a new bubble, that we could just let it go, float away like thoughts, right? Like those limiting beliefs, the thoughts that come, and seeing them as like during meditation, right? Don't they always say, like, let the thoughts float away? There's so much wisdom within a bubble. Hey, Robert. For those of you who are just tuning
Robert.
in, Rich is my special guest co-host today. Rich is the producer and host of an all-new upcoming show, the Bubble Breakthrough Show. He's also the founder of the coaching program. I got rid of the paper, but so let's just say Authority and Visibility Accelerator.
Yeah.
Margaret says, I am in a bubble of wonder. I love
Ooh,
that. I love
yes,
that.
she is.
She
She
also says,
is.
the bubble of 360-degree abundance and prosperity in all areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And so it is. Yeah.
So I cut you off before. Go back if you remember to what you were sharing.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just like, blah. That's how your show is. That's what I love about this. Like, I don't know. Let's just talk about some more things. Well, one thing I want to say.
Let's talk about more things. Let's talk
Let's talk
about
about more things. Well, around the bubble concept, as I've started playing with this more and more, it's changing how I teach. And some of my students are here. Shout out to my Authority and Visibility Accelerator clients who are watching. Thank you. They're also in the process of starting to create their own shows, because that's what I teach people is, how do you do this? How do you do what Shari's doing so masterfully? How do you do this? Right. Well, there's a lot that goes into it. So one of the things that's cool about this is, and this can apply to any kind of fear, but I'll do it through the lens, no pun intended, of being on camera like we are right now. So many people or being on a stage, like Shari is a professional, world-renowned, in high demand speaker, highly paid speaker. And so to learn how to do that and to have the ability to do that, there's learning, right? And a lot of people, whether it's on stage or being on stage into a camera, or being at a desk like we are, looking into a camera, making videos, a lot of stuff comes up for people. A lot of those negative bubbles pop up. I look bad. My hair is all wrong. My lips, hate the way I look on camera. Someone said to me recently, I have a face for radio, Rich, which sounds funny, but he was saying I'm ugly, right? About himself. I don't know what to say. And these are, people who are brilliant. They're experts in their field. And then when it comes to being on camera, all of a sudden they have amnesia. Like, I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to give. I have nothing to say. What if no one will listen to me? Those are all bubbles of blah, right? It's like the
bubbles
bad
of
health
blah.
bubble. Bubbles of blah, right? And you keep feeding them, so you keep blowing the same bubbles, right? And so that's
blowing the air, hot air.
All that hot air, right? That is what shows up for you. But if you do this instead, if you go back to the truth of who you are, like we were saying earlier, and remember, because it's always true, we just forget, I am pure consciousness. I am energy. I am the universe, right? And when you're in that space, not your head space, when you're in the truth of who you are, and then you stand in front of that camera or on that stage, you can't get it wrong, because you will be literally conducting pure energy, and the right things are going to come out in the best way possible for the people that are listening in that moment or in the future. And so that just eliminates all of the other bull pucky that you keep telling yourself, right? So this is like a huge thing that has become a way that I will be going forward teaching my students, because that cuts through, to the chase right away. And I work with people who call themselves heart-centered visionary change makers. And so they should get this concept to begin with, right? Or have some idea of who they are as energy and consciousness. So, but anybody, no matter what your beliefs are, if you just believe, create a bubble of belief that you are consciousness, you are energy. And in that place, you can only get things right. And it doesn't matter what you look or how you like, or how you sound, or how old you are, or how young you are, or what color your hair is. None of that matters. By the way, Shari and I like to play with color in our hair, as you've noticed. Are we loving Shari's hair today?
I obviously am, as I keep playing with it.
I want pink hair. Cody's been dying to do pink on me, but I haven't gone for it. You know why? Because I was like, nah, that's too childish.
Well, hello, Bubbles.
Right. I get a new bubble.
Yeah. Yes. Create a bubble of childlike of play, right?
Yes.
Create a bubble of pink hair. Create a bubble. Like, what are we creating here, people? People, what kind of bubbles are you creating? Boy, I'm getting all loving it. Universal, heart-centered, Margaret says. Just yes.
Yes.
Because well, right now, if I am being true to my bubble, which is always because I'm living in it and being consciousness, I just want to go like this. Like, I just want to sit and in this bubble with you and with those of us those who are watching right now. And I love the people that I have invited into my bubble. I love the world that I have created in my bubble. In my bubble, Rich, the universe, God is always on my side, is always creating for me, is always manifesting miracles and blessings for me. This is the bubble that I live in. And anyone that wants to express their heart and be and walk in that is invited into and share in my bubble.
So you bring up Ted, creating a bubble of freedom and abundance. Yes.
Yep, Mom wants purple hair.
Oh, let's go. We were talking about you earlier before the show started, Lark, about beauty parlors. Because my partner Cody is a beauty parlor operator. I grew up like that too, Shari. My great grandmother, I had to go with her every week to this one beauty parlor, and it was in the 70s, but they had 60s furniture still. And there was this really, now I would love to have it was this circular like sofa that was the waiting seating. And I used to think that is so, it looked like a UFO. I thought it was so strange, but it was probably the coolest shop in town. But the smell of all that hairspray, is when I think of beauty parlor that I think of my great grandmother.
My whole family went to beauty parlors weekly, the standing appointments.
Yes.
And I remember the hard books with all of the images, the colors, glossy photos, and like every week being like, okay, I want that hair. I want that hair. And guess what? I manifested it all because now I have all wigs.
Right.
With a different hair every week or every day.
You've been manifesting all your life.
Yes, Margaret. I love having you in my bubble. And it was a beautiful creation. I'm a master creator.
Yes, you are. And that's the thing about the bubbles is you are the creator, right? The smell of Aquanet, exactly. You are the creator of your bubbles. And when you believe that, allow yourself to believe that. That's hard for some people because we're so conditioned by design that other people are in charge of us. The president, the Senate, the House, the whatever, the political system, our parents. For some people, their kids are the owners, are in charge of their bubble, right? Of the parents' bubble. Like we put other people in the positions of power over our sovereignty. And then we've just given away our creatorship status, our status as the creator of our own bubbles. And that's how societies around the world are orchestrated, right? Religious systems. There are people who are higher in elevation, right? And they're better or smarter or purer or whatever the thing is in charge of your religious bubbles, right? So we have them everywhere. And the truth is, though, you are in charge of your own bubbles. And when you take back that ownership, which is a little practice, then you can really move powerfully into this space of that you are also not only in charge of, but responsible for, that's a whole other conversation,
Yes.
for your own world. And when you do that, then it doesn't matter what's happening out there anymore. It doesn't matter what's outside of the walls of your bubble, right? Because that doesn't affect you. What you create inside your bubble, and this is all to go back to what you just said, Shari, about you have the most amazing people in your bubble by design.
Right.
But that wasn't always the case.
No.
So talk about that.
Well, first, before I forget, because I have memory, I wrote down, just based off of what you just said right before that, this idea of that we're all in our own bubbles and we create them, right? But how do they play together? So when we think about or watch the bubbles, there is no, everyone's in their own bubble. There is no fighting with the other bubble. There is no trying to take over. There is just the ease in which everyone is allowed to be in their own bubble, and they dance beautifully with each other, not trying to burst one another, right? Coming together at times to play. And I say that because often we can hear that it's selfish, maybe, that, when you only worry about your own bubble. But I believe that if more of us were conscious about what it is that we create in our bubble, and we're so pleased with what is in our bubble, then we wouldn't be worrying about bursting other people's or trying to stop them from their bubble in the way that they want to live, because we are so satisfied and content within what we've created. So
Yes.
How can we create a bubble that we love? That's it. And I forgot your other question.
Me too.
But we've
yeah,
we've got some comments going on.
Okay.
So Margaret says, resonance in our vibrational state allows us to join in another's bubble. Yes. So the bubbles, right? The ones that just naturally float away, and then the ones that come together. And maybe those are the bubbles that we're meant to engage and interact with. And again, no competition, no trying to burst, just the playing with, right?
Right. Well, she used the perfect word, resonance.
Yes.
Right? They're vibrating in similar or same frequencies, so they like attracts like, right?
Right.
And that also answers what you were saying earlier about why people want to burst your bubble, because they're in a different frequency. And usually those when people are in that state, when you want to, there's lots of phrases for this. Burst your bubble is one of them. Mm-hmm. Rain on your parade. Yep. Steal your thunder. Right. These very common phrases in American English, at least. The people who operate like that are probably not in charge of, or not being responsible for their own creations, right? They're stuck in a bubble of, they feel trapped because of something else. There's blame involved. And when you see another person like you floating happily, gloriously, cheerfully in your bubble of existence, that pisses them off. Well, why does she get that? I'm going to pop that because she should suffer like me. That's a very, very low vibration state to be in. And when we are in that, and I've been there, and even not so long ago, I set up a zip code in that, as Denise says. I built a high-rise condo in that zone. And everything around me was people who were thriving and happy, climbing rock walls, being fit and stuff. Where I was like, oh, yeah, but I have this disease and I have this ailment, and don't you understand? And my doctor said
this circumstance happened, that it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Margaret says survival. They're in a survival.
So that's the first chakra zone, right? That is survival, which plays a role positively for us, right? We got to stay alive. But when we're only operating from that very lower level energy, I should say, then everything else that's available to us above that is not available if you're stuck in it. So you create these new bubbles that pull you out. And you're just making this shit up, people. Can we say that on your show?
I mean, we're not experts here in bubbles.
We are now. We have PhD in bubbleology.
I mean, we've created our own bubbles in the bubble that we've created. We know about them because we're busy playing with them. I want to read this from Bill. There's a lot of been comments going on. So Bill says, yes, we are all consciousness having a physical moment. Not all of us are here to impact the world in the same way. The secret is to get out of our limited view and into our own purpose. But how does a person figure out the difference between their comfort zone and into a more beneficial purpose?
Ooh, choose me, choose me.
You're chosen.
Oh, thanks.
Go. Let me pass the bubble to you. Pass the bubble on the left hand. Okay.
You're dating yourself now.
Well, I do love myself.
Yeah, but she's here all night, folks.
Starting next month, Rich and I are taking a stand-up comedy workshop together.
Together.
We'll
always, Sandy. B2, rest in peace, Sandy. Olivia Newton-John. Yes. So, okay, so Bill, you answered your own question. You used the word comfort zone.
Yes.
So comfort, as another friend of mine, Roger Webb, says, comfort zones suck. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable. Like, I love to be comfortable, right? But when we are continually in the state of our current zone of comfort, and our comfort zones are always changing if we are doing that work to change them, right? But when you're just in that comfort zone, that means that you're not doing whatever the work is for you to do. And I love how you said we're not all here to impact the world in the same way. 100% true. Shari and I are not even, we have different messages. We have similarities, similar energies about how we do things. But what we're doing is actually not the same. You know, we are speaking to different audiences and from different ways. But when you there's another way to phrase this. It's called your limits of participation, right? So for me, my limit of participation about rock climbing was I can't do that, right? That's not what I do. And then one day I decided to break that comfort zone and I just walked into the place. Mm-hmm. And that's when I had a visceral experience in that situation. That doesn't mean it's going to happen every time you take action on something. You might find out, ooh, that isn't for me. So let me go check this place out instead, right? But when I walked into Mesa Rim, I literally felt like I was pulled up, like floating. It was this visceral experience, partially because you have to look up 50 feet to see the top of the rock, right? And then I had a new comfort zone. Well, do I join? Or do I still just drive by? And I ended up joining on my second visit. Then I had another comfort zone to break. Am I actually going to take a lesson and possibly hurt myself? I was so afraid of hurting myself, right? Because I'm conditioned that dangerous things like this, even sports for me, unlike all my brother and all my cousins were like star athletes, and I played the clarinet. So, you know, and I had, that was like, you just saw me, you know, make fun of myself. That's a bubble I have to burst because I was the best clarinetist in my school district. I didn't just play the clarinet. I was first chair first. They were all-star athletes. I was the best clarinetist, right?
Let's give it up.
Still have that clarinet. So then I took the lesson and I was scared to death. And then I realized I'm 20 years older than the young ladies who I'm in this lesson with. And they were just, you know, and I was like, okay, old man, I'm going to get on the wall. So we stretch our limits of participation by taking action, Bill. You go towards those things that you say that you want to do, and really that you know in your heart of hearts, or wherever you feel it in your being, you know when you're drawn to something. I knew for 7 years that building drew me, and I didn't know why. Right now I know. So you move towards the things that seem scary. Sometimes it seems scary. Yeah. It may very often be scary. Yeah. Right? Because it's new, it's unknown. Right. But you go towards it. And then now you're out of that comfort zone and you start to build into a new one.
I love everything you said. And I'd like to just add on a tale that I always know when I'm in my comfort zone, because it feels like there's no growth.
Yeah.
Like I feel it's all comfortable and it's good, but I get that physical like itch under my skin. You know, it's like there's something more, and it's just very, and it's very little. It's like this small voice within, and I'm like, okay, and then things start to get, and everything's great. It could be great, but there's just that, I don't know, it's like a vibration type thing. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
as Rich says, you move towards, like, you just take that little step, right? Like, you just get off on the freeway and the exit of the thing that it is that's drawing you to it. We are getting close to coming to an end, but I want everyone to walk away with a new creation of a
Yeah,
bubble.
let's do it.
Yeah. So they should grab some pen and paper or something, like, isn't it, don't you think?
You, yeah, you can, and if you don't have access to it, then use the power of your your imagination.
Okay.
But let me walk you through a little process, if you will. Okay, so if you've been watching this far, and even if you just tuned in, hi, we're going to create some bubbles right now. so, so like, we can use Bill. I think Bill also said earlier that he wants to create a better health.
Yes.
Okay, so just using that as an example, and everyone, I want you right now to pick, what's something, some area of your life, some aspect of your life that you've been thinking about that you would like to do, but you've not allowed yourself to for whatever the reasons. It doesn't matter what the reasons are right now. Like for me, it was going into the rock climbing place, right? So what's something that that if you did it, if maybe you had that in your life could be better, possibly, right? And we won't know until we actually start doing it, right? But that you're drawn to it, as Shari was saying. So pick just one area,
And
and
you
you
can
can
share it in the comments if you want, if you feel
share
like,
it in the
oh,
comments. Yes, because when you share your intentions, then it gets magnified, right? And you're showing the universe that this is what you're declaring. You're creating a bubble. So if you do have something to write with, you can draw a circle, and in the middle of your circle, write that thing, like Bill was saying, better health, or rock climbing was mine as an example. So whatever that thing is, if you have those voices in your head right now saying, I don't know, I don't think blah, 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 give it a cookie, tell it to take a nap, and get back to your bubble, because you're the god of your bubble. So you have that thing in your bubble. Awesome. Farm animal rescue life. Yay. Margaret has turned that concept into a full-blown business venture that she now has support from people around the world, by the way. so in your bubble now, I want you to, if you can, if you're not driving, if you're not doing something dangerous or chopping with knives, if it's available, if not, do it with your eyes open. But you can close your eyes and just imagine yourself in that thing that you want, right? This better health. So what does that look like? How will you know that you have better health? Or what will it look like when you have the rescue farm for the farm animals, right? What is that experience like? And allow yourself to start feeling into it. The feeling part is so important, because this isn't really a logical process. What will it feel like? What does better health feel like to the best of your ability right now? How do you think? And you could use examples of what you see other people experiencing good health. Like, well, they look vibrant, they look energetic, they look, healthy, right? So you can just kind of pull from other resources and imagine for yourself, what will it feel like when you are brimming with vitality? What will it feel like in your body to know that you are in perfect health, that every fiber is firing optimally, your joints are moving with ease and flow, you're at your ideal weight, you are strong and flexible? Like, imagine that in yourself, right? So you're imbuing your bubble with this energy. Yes, right. And so just like with the bubbles, you're blowing very peacefully, very tranquilly, very gently this energy of into this new existence, right? So you're feeling the feelings, and you can spend a long time there, as long as you want, because the more you feel the feels, the more you blow into that bubble of existence, the stronger you're making this, right? And then you're going to ask yourself, what's just one thing, one step that you could take towards keeping that particular bubble of existence alive? So if it's health, you want better health, then can you today choose healthier foods for yourself as you go to eat? or someone else talked about overeating. You're operating as the consciousness that you are, not as the other version of yourself that overeats or that feels unhealthy or that doesn't have the thing yet that they want, right? So you're locking into the truth of who you are. And so when you go to choose your food today, can you choose something healthier for you, or read the label and understand what you're about to put in your body and make a conscious choice, right? You're just practicing, what does a healthy person do? Now I call myself an athlete. I still laugh. It's funny because a few weeks ago, I never in my life would have called, no one ever, my mom, if she's still watching, no one called me an athlete in my family,
Mhm.
right? That was my brother and my cousin. So athletes eat a certain way. Athletes train their bodies a certain way. And so I'm learning how to do those things. I'm eating vastly different, caring about how much protein and how many carbs I'm having and where that stuff comes from. I'm sweating my butt off every day, one way or another, to train my body so I have the strength and the stamina and the health and the resilience and the flexibility and the mobility to climb on a rock, right? So that's how you create a bubble of existence. And you just play with that. Choose the thing, feel what it's like, make it up. You're making it up. And then what's an action you can take? And then you keep doing that.
Rich, I love that. And it's specifically because Donna says here to do more cardio exercise and not believe I'm scared I'm going to have a panic attack. What I'm hearing and from Rich, even in the creation of the bubble, so who is the person that would not have the panic attack? Instead of putting that panic attack in there, what does that bubble look like? What is the contrast, the opposite of that? So
Yeah.
I know that that Lori said before that her bubble is empty. I would disagree. Your bubble is not empty. You might feel sadness and you might feel, disconnected and whatever, but what is it that you're going to fill the new bubble with? The bubble's always filled with something. It's just either a lower vibration or a higher vibration. Wouldn't you say, Rich?
Yeah. So in that case, the bubble that you have is, if you're saying my bubble's empty, and I think, and we don't know because we're not hearing the rest of your conversation.
Right.
Was it Lori you said?
Lori said her bubble was empty. Yes,
Okay.
earlier.
But if, and I'm only going to go with, what I'm possibly sensing is if there's sadness or depression or these other lower energy feelings, right? And all feelings are valid. We're allowed to feel all of them. But when we set up a zip code in the feelings for too long, then we get sick and we stay in those feelings, right? So that's a bubble. That's just a bubble that you've been living in, and it seems so real, right? And if you play with this, right, you could just use your hands like, here's my bubble of emptiness, sad bubble, and then just decide, I'm going to pop you. And you do it with love. It's not anger
Yes.
and bitterness. You just go, thank you for having been here. You
Thank
taught me
you.
some lessons,
Right.
right?
Float away. Right. Even
And
float
then you
away.
create your new bubble. And what do you want to feel instead? What would you like to feel? And you can even start there, even if you can't get yourself to feeling what it would feel like, because that can be hard at first. Then what would you like to feel, right? That's an even smaller step to take. Well, I would like to feel happy. I would like to feel joy. I would like to feel content, or whatever the words are, right? Awesome. That's a better step than my bubble's empty.
Yep. Perfect. Beautiful. I can't believe it's already like, here I was worried that we wouldn't have enough to talk about. And here we are. I always, which is crazy. We're already at the end of the show. I want to thank you, Rich. It's it's like bubblicious to be here with you.
Yes,
Such
let's
a
blow some more
joy to be
bubbles.
here with you. Such a joy to be look at the ease at which the bubbles, and there's ones that are playing. There's ones that actually go straight down to those are, I feel like, lower vibration bubbles. And the other ones just float up. Anyway, so we don't have enough time to get into all that. But I want to thank everybody for watching us today. Rich, tell everybody how they can stay connected with you until we bring you back.
Yeah. On Instagram, Bubble Breakthrough Show. Uh-oh, it's time to spin. Or on Facebook, I'm Rich Oceguera on Facebook. I'll soon have a Bubble Breakthrough Show page on Facebook. It's just not up yet. Find me either way. Rich Oceguera, Facebook, LinkedIn, same thing, Rich Oceguera.
Thank you all. So, was there more? Sorry, go ahead.
No.
There's always more. Let's not lie. There's always more. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for nothing. Thank you, Rich, for joining me today.
Thanks for
and
nothing.
everybody, don't forget to go grab your bubbles and let us know in the comments your experience with them. Take pictures, take video.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, so fun. It was great to see all of you. I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.